On a real note though, I'm pretty garbage. But I do have some pretty interesting chess games, and I just played the best game of my life recently. I created a brand new account for the sake of this video, Skibidi Phantom Taxed. And here are the two games I played. I'm broke, so I don't have the platinum, so I can't review both. However, we will review the first one. By the way, I'm really not that good. I don't know why chess.com decided to put me off at 1600 after only 2 games. And I never get ratings this high. And with that, the game begins. We begin with the game begins. Skibidi Phantom Tax begins the game with the king's pawn opening, to which he responds with the king's pawn. I attack his pawn in the center. He defends his pawn in the center. I advance my knight. He advances his. My bishop comes to attack. His bishop comes to defend. And with that, d6 is the last book move. And feel free to tell all your baddie friends to watch me, because I'm about to cook. I then take my opponent's knight, sacrificing my bishop but doubling his pawns. Then I found a really clever move. Queen's pawn to d4. This may not look like much, but once it recaptures the pawn on e5, it's attacking the bishop on d6 and the knight on f6 at the same time, causing me to win a piece of higher value. And then, ladies and gentlemen, my opponent made the mistake and castled. However, I gotta give him some slack. I mean, he's going against a pretty tough opponent. And of course, I responded by taking the pawn on e5. Instead of just reclaiming the pawn, to which I thought he would do, my opponent decided to play the move bishop to b4, attacking my knight and also pinning it to my king. Obviously, I responded with the logical move and took the knight that I had won. Instead of reclaiming with the queen, my opponent decided to take with the bishop, also leaving a check on me. So obviously, I had to double my pawns and reclaim it. It was then in this move that my opponent finally decided to take the pawn back. Now, if you look closely, you would see that he has quite a powerful attack on me, but this means nothing if defended properly. You see, as long as I block the diagonal that the queen is on, he can't attack the pawn on c3. And also, if I did allow this to go through, he's not really winning a rook, as I could just move the bishop to d2. Let me just show you what I mean just if I was to do it. And in this position, he can't really win the rook. However, I'm not a one-trick pony, and I decided to attack the queen in the process, moving my pawn to e5. My opponent then finds the clever move of rook to e8, pinning my pawn to my king, not allowing me to capture his queen. Now we're gonna skip to where the game gets interesting. Then my opponent moves his rook to b8, taking the open file. Then I respond by taking the pawn on d7 and also attacking the pawn on c6. My opponent responds by taking my pawn on c2, however I responded by taking his pawn on a7, attacking his rook in the process. He responds by moving the rook to a8, attacking my bishop on a7, however I responded by taking and also threatening to take his rook once he retakes my bishop. Sorry, I'm out of breath. If he was to retake this, I've got check. My opponent then decided to play the clever move of bishop to e2 after I was attacking him on a6. However, I have the move knight to d4, pinning both the queen and the bishop simultaneously. It was after this move that my opponent decided to resign, and I ended the game flawless. Keep in mind though, it's pretty easy to get a high rating when an opponent blunders in the early game. The real rating on my account that I've been using for a few months is roughly around 1400.